For 100 years, this country did everything it could to push black families out of the South. Now, those same families are moving back by the millions, and the retirement industry would rather you didn't notice. This is the video that maps out the 10 states where black retirees aren't just getting by. They're buying homes for half of what they'd pay up north, dodging taxes that would eat a fixed income alive, and settling into communities that have been thriving for generations. It exists because the polished best places to retire list you keep getting handed somehow always forget these places. Here's a taste of what's coming. One state on this list lets a retired couple shield up to $130,000 of income from state taxes, and hardly anyone talks about it. Another is home to a majority black county so wealthy, it quietly out-earns the fancy suburbs next door. One has the lowest property taxes in the entire country, where the yearly bill can come in under a single car payment. And the state sitting at number one has a metro where nearly 4 in 10 people are black. And black-owned businesses have topped the national rankings 4 years in a row. If you scroll away before we get to number one, that is completely your right as an American. The algorithm and I will simply remember it forever. So do yourself a favor, tap that like button, subscribe, and let's count down the 10 best states where black retirees actually thrive, starting with number 10. So how does a country that spent a century driving black families north suddenly become the place they're rushing back to? Look at the numbers. Nearly 6 in 10 black Americans now live in the South. The black population of the United States hit a record 49 million in 2024, and the biggest gains landed in Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Demographers call it the new Great Migration, a reversal of the trains that once carried families toward Chicago and Detroit. Retirees are a huge part of it. They're chasing warmth, lower costs, family roots, and a feeling that's hard to put a price on. Walking into a grocery store, a church, a barber shop, and seeing your whole life reflected back at you. Let's start the countdown where the roots run deepest. Number 10, Mississippi. Yes, we're starting here, and yes, I can already hear the comments. But before you rage scroll, look at what Mississippi actually offers a black retiree. Because it's genuinely wild. No state in America has a higher share of black residents. More than a third of the entire state is black, and the capital, Jackson, is around 80% black, making it one of the most heavily black cities in the country. This is the land of Jackson State University, Alcorn State, and Tougaloo College, the campus that helped organize the civil rights movement. The culture here isn't a museum exhibit behind glass. It's the daily air you breathe on a porch in the Mississippi heat. Now the money, because this is where Mississippi stops being a punchline. It does not tax your Social Security. It does not tax your pension. It does not tax your 401k or your IRA withdrawals. Read that again slowly. Your retirement income arrives essentially untouched by the state. There's no estate tax, no inheritance tax, and property taxes sit low. On top of that, Mississippi is flat out the cheapest state in the country to live in. A median home statewide runs around $186,000, and in the city of Jackson, you can find homes near $145,000. That is not a typo, by the way. So why is a place this affordable sitting at number 10 instead of number 1? One brutal reason: healthcare. Mississippi ranks dead last in the country for the quality of its state health system. When you're 75 and your knees and your heart start filing formal complaints, that ranking stops being an abstraction and starts being your Tuesday. Add a grocery tax that hits every trip to the store, and you've got a state that stretches a dollar further than anywhere else but asks you to gamble on getting good care. For the retiree whose top priority is family, heritage, and squeezing every cent out of a fixed check, Mississippi is unbeatable. For everyone else, it's the warning shot for the trade-off this entire list is built around. Number 9. Alabama. Alabama is where American history got rewritten, and the ghosts here are the kind you want to keep close. This is Montgomery, where Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat, and the modern civil rights movement caught fire on the steps of the Alabama state capitol. This is Birmingham, a majority black city whose civil rights district around the 16th Street Baptist Church is now sacred ground. And this is Huntsville, the Rocket City, quietly booming and nearly 30% black. Roughly a quarter of the state is black, and the HBCU lineup is heavy: Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Tuskegee University, and Miles College. For a retiree, Alabama's tax code reads like a love letter. No tax on Social Security. Most pension income is exempt. And here's the headliner: Alabama has the lowest property taxes in the entire United States. The effective rate is so low that the average yearly bill lands around $700. Not 7,000. 700. That's the kind of number that makes accountants cry. Cost of living runs about 13% below the national average, and homes in Birmingham hover around $160,000, with Montgomery close behind. The catch, and there's always a catch on this list, is twofold. First, the sales tax is steep and it applies to groceries, so some of what you save on the house comes right back out at the checkout counter. Second, healthcare statewide is shaky. But here's the move, and it's the same move that saves half the states on this list. Birmingham is home to UAB Hospital, a genuine top-tier academic medical center that pulls patients in from across the whole region. Plant yourself near Birmingham or Huntsville, and you get world-class medicine inside a state that otherwise struggles. That's the entire game in the Deep South. Live near the good hospital, and the math suddenly works. If you're keeping a list of your own right now, this would be a great time to hit subscribe, because the next handful of states are where this really gets interesting. Number 8, Florida. Florida is the retirement cliche for a reason, and black retirees have been quietly cashing in on it for decades. The headline is simple: there is no state income tax. None. Your Social Security, your pension, your retirement account withdrawals, all of it lands in your pocket without the state taking a bite. There's no estate tax and no inheritance tax either. For pure tax survival on a fixed income, Florida is one of the strongest plays in the country, which is why it keeps landing at or near the top of the national best places to retire rankings year after year. And the black community here is bigger and richer than people expect. Jacksonville is close to 30% black. Metro Miami holds one of the largest black populations of any metro in America, shaped powerfully by Haitian and Caribbean roots, so the food in Little Haiti, the music, and the whole rhythm of life hit different. Tallahassee gives you Florida A&M, one of the most storied HBCUs in the nation, with the marching band to prove it, plus Bethune-Cookman over in Daytona Beach. The typical Florida home runs around $378,000, right about the national average, with homestead exemptions that soften your property taxes once you settle in. So, why isn't Florida higher? Two words that have gotten very loud lately: insurance and politics. Home insurance along the Florida coast has spiked hard as hurricanes keep rolling through, and that rising cost can quietly erase every dollar of your income tax savings. And plenty of black retirees have looked at the state's recent political climate and decided the vibe simply isn't for them. Florida hands you sunshine and zero income tax with one hand and a climbing bill just to protect your home with the other. Do that math honestly before you fall for the postcard. Number 7, South Carolina. If you want salt air, Spanish moss, and a black cultural heritage you can literally taste, South Carolina is calling. This is Gullah Geechee country, where the descendants of enslaved West Africans preserved a language, a cuisine, and a way of life that exists nowhere else on Earth. Nearly a quarter of the state is black. The Columbia Metro is around 33% black. Charleston carries deep black roots along its historic waterfront, and towns out toward Orangeburg run majority black. The state holds 8 HBCUs, including South Carolina State, Claflin, and Benedict College. For retirees, the tax setup is generous in a very targeted way. No tax on Social Security. Once you hit 65, the state hands you a $10,000 deduction on retirement account income, stacked on top of a broader $15,000 income deduction. Then there's the homestead exemption, which shields the first $50,000 of your home's value from property tax once you're 65. Property taxes here are already among the lowest in the nation, so that exemption is just icing on an already good cake. It's no accident that South Carolina has been one of the fastest growing states in the country by people packing up and moving in. Now, the honest caveats, because that's the whole point of this channel. Healthcare is decent but not elite, so you're once again picking your city with real care. And in Charleston specifically, the same charm that draws everyone in has driven up prices and pushed a lot of longtime black residents out toward the suburbs. Settle a little inland or a little north of the tourist zone, and you keep the culture and the coastline without paying the vacation tax on your entire retirement. South Carolina rewards the retiree who does a little homework and reads past the brochure. Number 6, Tennessee. Here's another state with a magic phrase attached to it: no income tax. And in Tennessee, it's the real, complete version. The old tax on interest and dividends got fully repealed back in 2021, which means the state now taxes zero personal income. Your wages, your social security, your pension, your 401k, your dividends, even your capital gains. The state of Tennessee touches none of it. There's no estate tax and no inheritance tax. Property taxes are low across most of the state. Then there's the culture, and Tennessee is holy ground. Memphis is a majority black city and one of the birthplaces of American music. From the blues clubs on Beale Street to the legendary Stax record studio that shaped the sound of the whole world, Nashville brings its own gravity, plus a stack of legendary institutions: Fisk University, Tennessee State, and Meharry Medical College, which has trained a huge share of this nation's black doctors. Nashville also happens to have some of the strongest hospitals in the entire South, and on a list where healthcare keeps being the villain, that's worth its weight in gold. The two catches: Tennessee has one of the highest sales tax burdens in the country, and yes, that includes a tax on your groceries, so the state quietly gets its money one way or another. And Nashville home prices have exploded, jumping well over 60% since 2019, which has chewed up the affordability that used to define the place. The smart move is to lean toward Memphis and the smaller Tennessee cities where your dollar still buys a real home, and let Nashville's hospitals sit a short drive away for when you need them. Quick pause. We're halfway down the list, and if any of this is actually helping you plan the back nine of your life, do the thing that keeps this channel alive. Tap like and hit subscribe. We put out a fresh dose of the best places to live and retire every single day. Now back to it, because the top 5 is where community, money, and medicine finally stop fighting each other. Number 5, Virginia. Now we climb into the states that hand you the whole package, and Virginia is where the healthcare finally catches up to the heritage. This is a top destination in the new Great Migration, and for good reason. Hampton Roads, the stretch that includes Hampton, Norfolk, Newport News, and Virginia Beach, holds one of the largest and most historically important black communities in the entire country. Richmond, the old capital of the Confederacy, has been reborn as a center of black culture and political power, which is a plot twist history absolutely did not see coming. Virginia stacks HBCUs like few states can, with Hampton University, Norfolk State, Virginia Union, and Virginia State. On taxes, Virginia doesn't touch your Social Security. Once you're 65, you get an income deduction of up to $12,000. There's no estate tax and no inheritance tax, and property taxes are low. Your pension and retirement withdrawals do get taxed, so it's not a total tax haven. But here's what earns Virginia this high spot: the healthcare. Virginia scores well above the Southern average for medical quality and access. When you're choosing a place to grow old, a good hospital nearby isn't a luxury item, it's the entire point of the exercise. The one thing to keep straight in your head. Northern Virginia, the wealthy suburbs hugging Washington, is brutally expensive, and it will wreck a retirement budget in a hurry. That's not where you go. You go to Hampton Roads, where median homes land around $275,000, or out to a place like Lynchburg. Same great state, half the price, and the community and the hospitals come included in the deal. Number 4, Maryland. Let me tell you about a place that quietly breaks the entire American stereotype. Prince George's County, Maryland. It's a majority black county, roughly 2/3 black, and it's one of the wealthiest majority black counties in the history of the United States. The median household income there sits around $100,000, well above the national figure. Neighborhoods like Fort Washington, Mitchellville, and Bowie are full of black doctors, lawyers, federal executives, and business owners living exactly the life the culture keeps insisting is impossible. If you want to retire surrounded by black affluence and real political power, this is the promised land. Maryland overall is nearly 29% black and carries HBCUs like Morgan State, Bowie State, and Coppin State. So why is a place this strong sitting at number 4 instead of the top? 2 reasons, and they're both about money leaving your pocket. Maryland doesn't tax Social Security and offers a pension exclusion once you're 65, which is nice. But it's one of the very few states that hits you with both an estate tax and an inheritance tax. If part of your retirement dream is passing wealth down to your kids and grandkids, that combination stings in a way you'll feel. On top of that, the cost of living and home prices here run well above what you'd pay down in the Deep South. Maryland is the pick for the retiree who values proximity to Washington. A deep network of black federal retirees, established generational wealth, and genuinely strong healthcare, and who is willing to pay a premium for all of it. You're not coming to Maryland to pinch pennies. You're coming here to plant yourself in a community that already quietly won. Number 3. Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas, including the black population, which is the largest of any state in the country in raw numbers, somewhere north of 3.5 million people. And it's exploding. From 2010 to 2024, the Dallas area grew its black population by 52% and Houston by 43%, with both metros blowing past 1 million black residents each. This isn't a fading community, it's a rising empire. Houston's historic 3rd Ward, the suburb of Missouri City, and the Dallas suburbs of DeSoto, Cedar Hill, and Lancaster are established, thriving, unapologetically black places. Add Texas Southern University and Prairie View A&M plus landmarks like Emancipation Park and the Buffalo Soldiers National Museum, and the roots run deep. Now the money. Texas has no state income tax. Social Security, pensions, retirement withdrawals, the state takes nothing off the top, and there's no estate tax. And here's the part that pushes Texas into the top 3. The medicine. Houston is home to the Texas Medical Center, the largest medical complex on the entire planet, anchored by MD Anderson, which is regularly ranked the #1 cancer hospital in America. Dallas brings UT Southwestern. This is world-class care, the kind of care people fly across oceans to reach, sitting right there in your backyard. The catch is a big one, so listen closely. Property taxes in Texas are brutal, among the highest in the nation. That shiny no-income tax gift can get partially clawed right back through your property tax bill every single year. The saving grace is that seniors 65 and up get an extra homestead exemption and a freeze on their school taxes, which softens the blow. Skip pricey Austin. Look hard at San Antonio, where median homes land around $275,000 and you get elite hospitals, a massive community, and no income tax, all under a budget that actually breathes. Just be ready for the Texas summers, which are a genuinely different kind of merciless. Number 2, North Carolina. If you could design the ideal state for a black retiree in a laboratory, you'd probably end up with something that looks a whole lot like North Carolina. It was the #1 state in the entire country for people moving in during the most recent census estimates. And a huge slice of that is black professionals and retirees, chasing exactly this kind of balance. The cities carry it. Charlotte is around 34% black, Durham is 34%, Greensboro 42%, Fayetteville 42%. Durham in particular is hallowed ground, home to the historic Haiti District and the original Black Wall Street, where black-owned banks and businesses built real, lasting wealth a full century ago. And the HBCU density is almost unreal, with North Carolina A&T, the largest HBCU in the nation, plus North Carolina Central, Winston-Salem State, Shaw, and Johnson C. Smith. On the money, North Carolina doesn't tax Social Security, and it runs a low, falling flat income tax that has dropped down near 4%. Certain government pensions are fully exempt under a long-standing rule on the books. There's no estate tax and no inheritance tax, plus a homestead break for seniors. Other retirement income does get taxed at that flat rate, so it's not a zero-tax state. But it doesn't need to be, because of what it does better than almost anyone else in the South: healthcare. The Research Triangle is anchored by Duke and UNC, 2 nationally ranked medical systems, and Charlotte has Atrium Health. Strong hospitals, deep culture, moderate prices, all stitched into one state. The only real homework is picking your spot. Charlotte and Raleigh have gotten pricey as everyone and their cousin piled in. But look at Durham, Greensboro, or Fayetteville, and you get the community, the hospitals, and homes at prices that still make honest sense. North Carolina is the closest thing on this entire list to having it all, which is exactly why it's sitting at number 2 and not a spot lower. Number 1, Georgia. There was really only ever going to be one answer at the top of this list, and everybody who has spent 5 minutes in this world already knows the name. Atlanta, the Black Mecca. Georgia is about 31% black, and its capital is the undisputed cultural, economic, and political heart of Black America. Consider this one stat. In the Atlanta metro, nearly 4 in 10 residents are black, the highest share of any major metro in the country, with over 1 million black residents. The black population there quintupled in 50 years, turning Atlanta into the second largest black metro in America, sitting right behind New York. When demographers talk about the new Great Migration, Atlanta is the #1 place young black Americans are moving to. It's the magnet the whole map bends toward, and the institutions here are simply unmatched anywhere on Earth. The Atlanta University Center is the oldest and largest consortium of HBCUs on the planet. Home to Spelman College, routinely ranked the top HBCU in the country, Morehouse College, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. earned his degree, Clark Atlanta University, and the Morehouse School of Medicine. This is where black excellence gets manufactured at scale. On top of all that, Atlanta ranks #1 out of 100 metros for the share of black-owned businesses, a title it has now held 4 years running. Historically, black neighborhoods like Cascade Heights and booming suburban counties like DeKalb, Gwinnett, and Henry Hand retirees' real choices, everything from a quiet cul-de-sac to a lively cultural corridor. Now, here's what truly seals it: the taxes. Georgia fully exempts your Social Security, and then it offers one of the most generous retirement income breaks in the entire country. Once you turn 65, you can shield up to $65,000 of retirement income from state tax per person. That means a married couple can protect up to $130,000 a year. Let that number just breathe for a second. There's no estate tax and no inheritance tax. Property taxes sit below the national median, and most counties throw in a school tax break for seniors on top. The typical home statewide runs around $319,000, and even inside the city of Atlanta, you're looking at prices well below what the coast would charge for a tiny fraction of the culture. Healthcare is solid across the metro, anchored by Emory and Grady, so you're not making that deep south gamble here at all. You get the biggest, most powerful, most connected black community in America, a tax code practically designed for retirees, moderate home prices, warm Georgia weather, and a hospital system that actually shows up when you need it. That's not a compromise. That's the whole dream stacked in one place. Georgia is #1, and honestly, it isn't particularly close. So here's the thread running through all 10 of these states. The places pulling black retirees back home aren't random dots on a map. They're the places where roots, dollars, and dignity finally line up, where you can afford the house, keep your income, and walk out your own front door into a community that has been thriving for generations. The original Great Migration carried families north, chasing a better life. This new one is carrying them home, and it turns out home got a whole lot better while everybody was away. Wherever you land on this list, do your homework on the specific city, not just the state. Because on every single one of these, the good hospital and the right price are usually a suburb or two away from the obvious choice. If this saved you even one afternoon of research, you already know what to do. Hit like, subscribe, and stick around, because tomorrow we're back with another dose of the best places on this earth to spend the years you actually earned. Until then, go find your spot.